welcome to the SU Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Josh Klein, and I have the pleasure of being joined by head Susquehanna women's volleyball coach, Quippo Tom. Thanks for joining me, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
So the volleyball team has started this season with a very tough schedule. How has it helped the team prepare for the rest of the landmark conference matches?
Well, last year when we were putting the schedule together, we knew that it was going to be a very young team as we were graduating six starters, six seniors, which is it's a lot of folks to lose off your roster that are contributors. But we had the opportunity to schedule some pretty tough teams, and philosophically, I'm more of the mindset that you schedule the tough ones in the beginning and get people running as soon as they hit the ground. We could go out and beat up on a bunch of teams that we know we can manage, but I don't know if that's going to help us grow. So this is all about helping us grow as quickly as we can.
And you mentioned having a really tough early schedule. You started out in Texas and you went up against multiple nationally ranked teams. So what type of challenges does that face when you have such a young roster?
Well, you got to be proactive in letting them know that we're going to have a tough schedule. And in some forums, we're ranked somewhere around the 12th toughest schedule in the country. And that speaks well for the caliber of players that we're getting in here. And I think that when you prepare them for that kind of a schedule and you help promote that they're going to be playing a tough schedule, it helps them to feel better about themselves, play better, understanding the competition they're up against.
And so the roster is just loaded with freshmen and sophomores like Hannah Lyons, Sydney Portali, Helen Foreman, and they've had really big shoes to fill, replacing seniors, the six, as you mentioned, who a lot of them are up on Susquehanna's Mount Rushmore. What types of challenges is it for the team to try to have to integrate such young players?
It's tough. Consistency. You know, when you're dealing with young players, freshmen, sophomores, you're talking about people that the game still goes really fast for them. So you're trying to get them to slow down, but that takes time in the driver's seat. Even the Mount Rushmoreans that you speak of, they were the same way in their first and second years, and it took them a little bit of time to get used to the speed and the level of ball. So it's work, but they'll be good.
And you have a senior in Morgan Lowe is just having another fantastic season. Can you tell us more about what she means to the team?
Morgan's outstanding, both in her play and in her leadership role. She's a good kid. She helps to nurture the younger players that are intimidated. And if you ever are on the court with Morgan or playing against Morgan, it's an intimidating place to be. She's a really high-end volleyball player. But with her talent and her skill and her experience, she can help develop those younger players. She helps to bring them along, helps with having an inclusive culture with them, and she drives a lot of the culture outside of the court and on the court itself and in the practice gym.
And you mentioned the whole team culture aspect, and it's a really big factor, as you said, with volleyball. How do you create a winning program and a winning culture for this team?
It takes time. Developing the right culture has taken us over a decade. And for coaches to say they're going to come in, they're going to rebuild the program, no, it takes a lot of time and effort. And you have to identify the culture. This is the acceptable culture, and this is the things that are unacceptable, and these are the things that fall in between. And you have to identify in a realistic way where you are in that culture. Are we the championship culture that we were last year? No, we're not. But we have to bring in folks that buy in to what we're expecting of them, and that they understand that it's their job to fit into our culture, and not our job to change the culture to fit into them. And when we find those people, we recruit them hard, and I believe we have all the right people in our program that can perpetuate that championship culture. Again, we don't have the skill and the talent that we've had in the past, but that takes time to build up after such a big loss from last year. As far as buying into the culture, I think every single player on our roster does, and it'll show.
And obviously, coming off such a successful season last year, you made it to the NCAA tournament, and you really rode out a lot of those six seniors. And now that you have such a young team, when you're trying to integrate some of the pieces, you know, it's very different, obviously, having a new roster, but is there any of that you try to carry over from last year's team into this year's team, stuff that you built upon?
Again, I think it falls back on, and I don't want to overuse the word culture, but that's what it falls back on. When they buy into it and they understand the expectation within our culture, then everything will fall into place on its own. I think we're good physically. I think we're good as far as talent goes, and I think we're good as far as our culture goes. So I think now it's just a matter of making sure they have time in the driver's seat to get it all together.
And some may not know that outside of coaching, you and your wife coordinate a GO program trip to Hawaii each year, which GO program here at Susquehanna, meaning every single student has to go abroad and expand your horizons and experience a new culture and get different experiences that you would not get to have here at Susquehanna, which makes us unique. So can you kind of talk about what the experience was like for the students?
Well, isn't it funny? We're back to talking about culture again in a whole different realm. But I think life is about culture and being Hawaiian. And we are very excited to share our culture with people. We don't want them to assimilate into our culture. That's not for them. But it's an opportunity to take these young folks over and help expand their cultural lens a little bit and help them to understand things from a different perspective than what maybe they grew up thinking. Hawaii offers an opportunity for them to do that, I think, greater than a lot of places in the world because we embrace our culture so much. And taking those students over, it's a fun time to watch them develop, to help them to appreciate their own culture based on what we're teaching them about my culture. Being from Hawaii, it's a great opportunity for them because we get to go to Hawaii and do things that, you know, Hawaiians do, and they get to see it from the inside. It's not a big vacation. Anybody that's been on our trip can tell you it is everything but a vacation. But it's an opportunity to help them to grow, to have an appreciation for themselves, to live pono. Hawaiian, live righteously, appreciate the earth, appreciate all of the things that we have. And I love to watch the kids grow, and when we come back for our reflection courses and to be able to listen to presentations, it's a proud moment for both Dr. Tom and I to sit back and I could, by the way, I couldn't do it without her because she handles so much of this stuff. I get to do the easy kind of stuff, you know. I get to do the stuff that everybody's like, oh yeah, let's go do it, you know. But she's the one that does all the hard stuff with the data, the receipts, and all that stuff. That's tough. But watching the kids in their personal development, hearing them in their reflection course and how they've changed, how their lenses have changed, it's really rewarding to both of us.
And we definitely wish you and the team the best of luck going forward. I'd like to thank Coach Quippo Tom from the Susquehanna women's volleyball team for joining us on the SU Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Josh Klein. He is Coach Quippo Tom, and we hope to catch you next time.
All right. Hey, thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.